Good evening all, it's Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I look a bit tired. I will bring you up to date on what's going on in my life whilst I craft, but basically husband's watching football, so I've just literally just walked out of the lounge and gone, time to craft, put the video on, see what's going on. I literally have left my desk as it was for the last video that I filmed, which included this die, some of the stamp, I think, I can't quite remember, and oh, I did actually put it away, but the tropical hideaway, I'm saying I did, but now I can't see it even on the shelf. Oh, it is on the shelf. I did put it away. So yes, I made a card, and apologies if you can hear my husband. For some reason he's now singing in the corridor. I don't know why, because he's not even been drinking. Anyway, so yes, so I made a card. That was actually a week ago. It's been a very busy week. So I thought I will sit down, I will clear the decks, and then we'll make a card together. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to have a play and we'll see what we come up with. So anyway, hello all. Apologies for my appearance. It's tired looking. And I will see you in a minute when I have a clear desk, which will take me, I know, less than 5 minutes to do, and an idea of a project. So bye in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Right, I am gonna have a little bit of a play with the dressings today. So I've literally just grabbed a stack. I've not checked which ones they are, what colours or anything like that. I don't think it'll matter. But we are going to have a go with distress inks because I've just not used them for a while. So if we got black soap, probably won't end up using. Ooh. Okay, we have got a theme going on. There's sort of quite a purpley theme, so I don't think we'll use those two. And I don't think we'll use the black, but we'll probably use the others. Even though it's got the orange, do we want to use orange? That's probably going to go a bit browny coloured. Let's just go with pinks for the moment. So, yeah, I just thought we'll get some nice heavy colour on the card, and we'll just play with inks and see where it leads us. So probably should a bit of an update on the life. Well, probably some of the busiest weeks I've ever had in work. That's what's been happening the last couple of weeks. But also my parents moving house, yay! So Friday, today is Saturday. That took some thinking. Why did it take that much thinking, I wonder? Well, because of the fact that it's been a long day. It's been a long week, long couple of weeks. And yeah, hey ho. So yesterday they picked up the keys to their new home, which is a flat that's just down the road from where we live. Really nice, very well, brand new. They're still sort of actually got a few people on site, as in people still finishing off bits and pieces of it. And yeah, it's nice. So that was yesterday, and we then spent some time cleaning the flat because obviously, you know, builder's dust, etc. all around. I've just put my hands in yeah, pigment ink. Never mind. But yeah, so the builder's dust and stuff like that around. So quite a lot going on in terms of needing cleaning. Nothing major though, and absolutely when they moved into their current rented property, it needed a lot more work doing to it, and there was quite a big snagging list. The quality of the build definitely wasn't as good as this is. This is really good. I've been very impressed. So yeah, so on Monday they'll be moving. As I say, today is Saturday, and on Monday they'll be moving, and then hopefully all will be well in their new home. But yeah, yesterday lots of cleaning, quite a lot of stress, just making sure everything was all right, etc. And then today we have been at their current home. I'm going to take a little bit of this dusty concrete and just see what happens if I go. Probably shouldn't have done that, but never mind. What I'm wanting is lots of ink down on here. But yes, so we've been at their current home and doing things like taking hooks out of walls and filling in holes and all of that kind of stuff. That's what we've been doing today. And then we came back to ours. So we went back to their new apartment with some of their stuff. And then we have done not very much really. I've had a nice bath, which was very pleasant. Hubby has taken the daughter to work. She's still at work at the moment. And that's about it really. But tomorrow I'm going doing some more cleaning at the new place. Sorting out things like putting the fridge freezer on so it's cool, ready for when they move in on Monday. Yeah, pretty much that really. I think that's tomorrow's plan. And then Monday, all being well, is when they officially move in. So me and the husband are off work and we are going to be helping them to move. But we're not physically doing the doing, which is superb news because, yeah, we're just not the right people to do that anymore. I think I'm going to add a bit of blue to this, sorry. And I know it's not like distress ink, but just going to add a little bit of Starry Sky, I think. But yeah, so we're getting too old for that, and also they live on the top story in a 4-store. They're on the 4th floor, 3rd floor. Anyway, they're quite high up. It's a lot of steps if we need to try and carry furniture up, and we are definitely not the right people to be doing that. So yeah, we have employed somebody to come and help move them, but that has basically been what we've been doing the last couple of days and the foreseeable future. Right, I'm going to pause and talk about the project again. So I wanted to get loads of ink down. I'm now going to pop you into silent and fast forward, because what I want to do is heat set this. I don't want any of this ink to be wet because I'm going to try and do some heat embossing over the top. So I don't want any of it to be wet, and I want it all to be really dry. So because the heat tool is quite noisy, I don't particularly want that to be on my video. So I'm going to pop you in fast forward on silent. I'll come back to you when it's dry. Okay, that's all dry now. I'm going to go over with my embossing buddy to make sure that if I am embossing, I'm only embossing the bits I want to emboss. Don't mind that that's a bit powdery. It'll be fine. And now I want to find something that I want to emboss with. And I want it to be sort of a pattern. But something quite solid at the same time. Right, I'm going to pause what's going to find the right thing to stamp with. Okay, so found this Jumbo Stampendous Cling rubber stamp. And it's got this fabulous happy birthday that's really large, which is superb, and I might use that anyway. But I found this really cool flourish, and I thought that would probably work well if I just did it around the whole of the piece. So I'm going to take my Versamac. I can see it clearly didn't get clean, this stamp, last time I used it, but never mind. It really won't matter. And I'm just after creating some pattern on it, basically. that I can then emboss. I'm not bothered about filling in the entirety of the background. I just want some shapes. Now, I'm not sure how well any of that will have come out on the video because obviously it's a clear ink. And it'll be clear embossing I'm now going to put over it. But what that'll do is hopefully then trap the underneath colour. And then we're going to do something that I have seen previously on Jennifer Maguire videos, and I have indeed tried this technique myself before. Might not have dried that enough originally. No, I think it'll be alright. But yes, which is sort of then to create 2-for-1 background. So I'd seen this a while ago on Jennifer Maguire's videos. I've done projects in the past using this technique. Really liked it, and I saw her do it again. So I thought, let's have another go, do it in a different way. So once again, I'm going to now heat this. So bear with. Okay, so hopefully you can see there we've got some shine and some embossing there. Right, I am just going to clean my work surface space up a little bit. Now, when I've used distress inks or distress oxides, what I like to do is take a bit of the glossy paper, wet the surface, and then just pick it up on the glossy paper. Now, this might sound really random, but this then starts to create another background that I can use on another project. So I'm not wasting any ink, not that you could really waste it just using that much, but it also means I've made a start on another project, and that will sit on my desk every time I use my inks until I've got enough on it, and then it'll go into my backgrounds folder. Right, so let me explain the theory of this first. Oh no, let me just clean my stamp, and I've realised I've still not been and bought any baby wipes, so let's have a go with my stamp and scrub again. I do like to clean off when I've used Versamark, only because it can stay sticky for quite some time and then you get loads of dust attracted to your stamps. But perfect, nice and clean and conditioned stamp. Right, so let's talk through the theory. The theory is put a really heavy layer of ink down. You've then heat embossed onto it, which is going to trap that ink underneath. I'm now going to add lots of water to it, and then I'm going to put this on the top, and then I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine without die cutting it. And what that'll do is then transfer some of the ink from here onto there. Now, I have not used a special kind of paper. This is just normal cardstock, so this is a bit of an experiment, because I think possibly using watercolour paper or watercolour cardstock might work better. So you never know, you might get a "oh, that didn't work" video, and then we'll try again with the right kind of cardstock. Now, the way that Jennifer Maguire does this is she actually creates a little hinge. So she puts the two pieces of cardstock together, and then she creates a little hinge like this, so that she knows that they're going to stay sandwiched together with the colour in there, and then this is the side that we're going to imprint onto, shall we say. So I think I might need a bit more water in my water spray bottle at some point, but I think we'll be all right today. So if I disappear off, it's because I'm going to use my die cutting machine, which is on the floor next to me. I'm not going to bring that onto the table, so I want to do this quite quickly. You need to do a reasonable amount of water. I'm really aware that this is very thin card, so it might not work very well at all, but you need quite a level of water. Stick it through the die cut machine, and then that just squishes it together and transfers it. And hopefully we get a pale pattern here, and we get paler colour in the background to what we've got on the embossing. Let's see if it works. The important thing when doing this is to use a dye-based ink. So either distress oxides or well, any kind of dye, water based ink. So I'm just running it through my die cutting machine, and then I'm going to bring it up to the table, and I want to just wipe the table down, and we have got something. Have we got exactly what we were after? Possibly not as firm as I would have wanted. So do you know what? I'm going to go in with one more. I'm going to put another piece of cardstock here. That's not big enough. Let's see if I can find one that's the same size. Okay, I'm going to just put it in the middle. I'm going to, once again, I am running the risk that I'm just going to disintegrate this paper because it's quite thin. See what happens this time. We might need to just do a bit of heating up. Okay, this has worked much better now. Maybe I did put an extra shim in my die cutting machine then. Oh, right, okay. Doesn't matter that I've torn it a little bit, I'll just have to cut it down. But we have now that piece, which was the original piece. Still really pretty. It's definitely going to work as a background. We have this piece, which is a little bit more like I was expecting to see, with more of the white. And now we've got this, which is now much paler behind the embossing. And again, that's going to be a brilliant background piece. So I need these all to dry. Conscious that I probably shouldn't try and tear off washi tape when it's wet, because I've made it a right old mess. But I think I'll probably end up cutting it down anyway. So I am going to dry these up, so I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll come back once they are dry. Hey, I'm back. So these are not 100% dry, but they're almost dry. And this is probably my weakest piece, but it's a really pretty background, and I think what we're going to do is perhaps work with some of that a little bit to zhuzh it up, and then let's see which one we end up using for another card. It might be that we don't do any of this today. We might do it on another occasion. So I'm going to start working on this one, which seems a bit bizarre. Let's work on the weakest one first, but you know, we like to mess it up. So what else has been going on in my life? Well, nothing really, I suppose. Oh, I'm on super duper being good at the moment in terms of trying to keep within my calorie allowance, so that I might lose weight, and yeah, just trying to up the step level. I am struggling a little bit with some of the guidance, shall we say, in terms of the upping the step level, just because it's been so incredibly busy at work. I literally don't move when I sit down in the morning until, you know, like, I am really lucky if I've managed to go to the toilet before 4 p.m, which is insane, and I shouldn't be like that, but that's the reality of what I'm living with at the moment. So yeah, so that's been a bit busy, but I'm really pleased with myself in that what I've been trying to do. Now, this is not sticking very well as a cling mount to my stamp platform, I have discovered. Right, what am I using? I'm using just an alphabet stamp from... No, it's definitely not sticking. I wonder why. I wonder what I can do. I think it probably just needs cleaning. Right, well, we're gonna do it in reverse then. Let's do it in reverse, Catherine. Let's put this down in here so it doesn't wiggle around, and then we'll add the paper to it. See, sometimes you just have to think a bit differently. But yeah, so because work's been so busy, I am struggling a little bit with upping my movement level, but I've been to the gym once this week. I've managed to up my steps every day. Well, not every day, but most days. So I'm quite pleased with how I've done with that, even if it's not been brilliantly perfect or anything. There we go. So this is like an alphabet stamp, and all that's done is basically put that in, and now you've lost most of the background, admittedly, but it now just looks like a lovely watercolory type background behind that text. I think if I was to do it again, if I'm honest, I probably would go for a lighter amount of ink than what I just added then. Yeah, I probably would go for a lighter ink. And I've also realised what I've just done is I've added the spray to the stamp, and I didn't need to because I've already got it in my stamping scrub. But hey ho. What I am wondering though is if I was to clean the back of the stamp, that might make it more sticky for next time. Or it might not, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So yeah, this is an alphabet stamp. I think it's Gummiapan is the brand. I think they're a Scandinavian country. I can't remember where. Somewhere in Europe. And to be honest, I struggle to find them in the UK anymore. Really like the style of stamps that they had. So it's a bit of a shame if they're not available anymore. But yeah, I just stumbled across them and thought they were really cute designs. Now, I think this has become a little bit blocky, if I'm honest, with it being just the text. So let's go for maybe some flicks. Let's see if we can add a bit more interest. That's sort of made it more purple at the very least. And again, let's just use that to see what we can add on. I'm thinking we might need a bit more blue. Maybe that's what it needs. Where's that starry sky gone? And actually, wondering, did we just add that onto it too? Let's dry some of those splats and see what happens then. Sorry, forgot to put you into silent. Right, this stamp is also not wanting to stick anymore. I think I'm having a lack of stick day today. So again, let's just go right over the top in the middle. Now, I do have this theory: if it's any paper, Catherine, if this looks rubbish and it's not worked, throw it away. But yeah, basically there's a few like extra lines and stuff because of the way that I've just stamped that. I'm quite happy with it. I'm thinking that we do definitely need some more splats though in the blue. Let's see. We're not getting big splats necessarily. What have we got in terms of paintbrushes? These are all terrible paintbrushes because I don't look after my paintbrush things. There we go. That'll do nicely. I've got quite a lot of blue now being added to this. That'll do. Okay. I think right. Let's put you into silent so I can dry it. Okay, forgot to sorry, pop you back into fast forward there. I just added a little bit more ink in the centre just to give it a little bit of definition in the centre. I think we're going to go with maybe something white over the top. Let me have a teeny little think about what we might want to add. I'm also thinking, do you know what? That's quite cute. But I just think it needs a bit of white, maybe. So what I've just grabbed there is I have like a little plate to one side that's got bits and pieces that at various points I've made a couple of, like I've stamped a couple of sentiments, or there's some ribbons that I've just not put away or something. So I just try and grab from that as much as I can so that I can empty it out as I go along. But yeah, I'm thinking we might want something white to go there. So let me have a little bit of a think what we do. Right, so I just looked to the side of my desk and spotted this, so I've literally been gone for about a second. And I thought, why don't you use some of these, Catherine? These will work. I'm thinking circle. I'm thinking some nice little leaves coming up. And down. Maybe even that one as well. And then we've got these nice sort of banners, so we could have one of those underneath and then the happy birthday on the top. So I think we'll go for that, and we'll go for all white at the moment and see what happens. So I'm going to die cut all these pieces out in white. I might die cut a few of them a couple of times because this is, as I've said, very thin cardstock, and I also like sort of stacking them up. So I think we'll die cut all of those pieces out in the white, and I'll come back once I've got a little pile of die cuts. Okay, so we've got quite a few circles. So let's start by sticking those together. So I've said it on other videos, and to be fair, you know, it's a Jennifer Maguire thing too. Stacking your die cuts just gives them extra dimension and strength, but also, especially if you're working with a thinner cardstock like I am for this particular cardstock, it will just stop them from being flimsy, I suppose, which you can see here how incredibly thin this cardstock is. I will never be buying this cardstock ever again. It's just so thin. I've got loads of it, like a whole ream. It's just not the best quality at all. But do you know what? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. This case, definitely lost. So even though I've got a whole thing of that, I might not use that, but I definitely think I'm going to be using my leaves. Now, do I go over the top on my leaves and go for whole sprigs coming out of either side, or do I go a little bit more understated? I'm normally a bit over the top when it comes to die cuts these days. What do we reckon? Too much? Probably. Right, well, let's start by stacking them. Right, with flimsy little ones like this, I use liquid glue, just because you don't need much. It's just to stick them together. Now, ideally, I would go and wash my hands. I've just realised I've got mucky hands. Working with white die cuts, it's probably far from ideal. But with liquid glue, you also get that chance to just sort of like tease them into place before you start to add the pressure. Now, these ones, I think, yeah, I cut 3 of this. So this one can be extra sturdy. The others I've only done 2 of. The circles, I did 3. Oh no, those ones I did 3. Those ones I only did 2. Okay. So a couple of them are going to be 3 deep in strength, and the others are going to be 2 deep in strength. Okay, but that to me is a much nicer die cut now. It's got that bit of sturdiness. I mean, you could just cut it from a thicker cardstock in the first place. That would probably make sense. But also running it through the die cutting machine, obviously with it adding the pressure, that starts to break some of the fibres as well. So this sort of, again, gives it that different kind of strength. But I just like the look of them. I think that they look great when they're like this. And it's not that difficult to do. It just takes a little bit more time to do the die cutting because you die cut in multiples of them. but it's not like eons of time, it's just a little bit of time. Now this one's got a third one, so and I tend to find that I find it better if I apply the adhesive to the top of one rather than to the back of the next layer up, if you know what I mean. So it's easier to do it this way for me. Sometimes I do it the other way just because that's the way I've come to it, but yeah, I tend to do it, put it on the top and then you're laying the other one on top, and that seems to work a little bit better. Right, definitely using my circle, but might not use the banner. Unless I ink it. Right, I might ink the banner. Definitely think I'm going to keep my die cut leaves white and probably stick them underneath like so. I like that, but I'm also thinking it needs some kind of texture like a ribbon. So I have my ribbon basket here. Wondering whether we go that or maybe something like that. No, that doesn't work. I like that. Looks quite nice. Might go with that. Right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim. Am I going to trim my panel? Or am I going to think about, right, how big is it? No, I do need to trim it down. Right, let's trim it down. Where has my trimmer gone? So I think we'll go that way first. And what I'm trying to do is just get my writing to be relatively straight. Yeah, I think that's probably straight. And then down, across, down. Alright, I do, however, need to think about what colour card I'm going to make. I'm going to make a white card. Or do we want a dark coloured cardstock? I think that's quite cute, isn't it? Maybe even with a white mount. Does it not? I think it does need a white mount. Right, let's do that. Right. So that is going to be perfect for a little boundary around the card front. This should sit nicely inside that. And then we need our card blank cutting to size. So I think we'll do top folding because that's usually the style that I like. What we might do is bring some of this card colour in. We might die cut a few more bits from that die set and add them as accents on the front, or maybe even that banner again. Maybe that's what we'll do. But let's have a look. What does this look like? Yes, I really like that. How about you? That's all right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this to this. Now, you can see it's quite curly. That's because we've used water on it earlier. So I am going to use my tape. Now it's completely dry. This is a perfect thing to use because I know that it'll give it a nice strong bond. Probably will add a little bit of glue to it as well, just to make sure that we get that little bit of wriggle room in case I get the positioning not 100% straight away. But mainly we're going to use the tape, and the tape allows me to go also all the way to the edges, so that I can make sure it doesn't curl up where I don't want it to curl up. Sometimes curling up is fun and we want that to happen. Sometimes we just want it to be a nice flat piece. So I'm going to just do a teensy bit of the glue just along the sellotape, and this just gives us that little bit of wriggle room but without adding moisture. So what I don't want is for it to seep through in any way or make it too wet. But you know what, that was perfectly put down by me, in my opinion. That's as good as it's going to get in terms of mounting it, I think. It's slightly wider on this side. And when that happens, we're just bringing our trimmer and we slice a teensy bit off, just to make sure. Plus, my other trimmer's got quite old blades in it, and that gets rid of any of the fluff. And that will sit nicely on our card blank there. Right, let's glue down. Let's have a think about this. Do we want to put these down first? Yeah. Right, let's glue down our die cuts. Again, I use glue because I know it'll secure it. So the glue that I use is actually this high-tack, all-purpose, very sticky glue. I just decant it into smaller bottles because I find the nozzle easier to work with. On the bottle, or the bottle, it can clog quite easily, and you end up having to cut the nozzle even more, which just basically then ends up not being as fine a tip of a nozzle, and that doesn't work for me as well as doing it into little bottles like so. Right, you can see here what I keep doing is placing the circle back so that I know that the edges are going to sit underneath the circle and how it's going to sit, and that allows me to understand where I'm putting my die cut, and I keep an eye on where it is I think I wanted it. And again, I can bring it back in again at any point if I think I'm not quite sure where that wants to go. I think that'll work nicely. Right, do we want to put a ribbon underneath, and how do we want to do it? Do we want to go perhaps like so? Is that what we want? Or do we want a bow? I'm not very good at doing wiggly ribbons. Sort of keeping them free. Do we want it like so, as a bow? Don't think I want a bow. I don't think I want anything that formal. Right, I'm going to be brave. Well, it's sort of brave and it's sort of sensible. So I'm just going to stick some tape down in the middle. Now that might sound a bit weird, but I'm just going to stick that tape in the middle like so. And this will allow me to place this down like so. And I can probably wriggle it around a little bit more if I think I've not quite got my dimensions right. And that probably works fine. Right, I'm going to snip. So it was brave as in I'm putting some tape on my project, but I knew it was in an area that was always going to get covered, so if I ended up not using it, it really wouldn't have mattered. But sometimes you just have to try ideas, and sometimes you just can't quite get them to look right whilst you're playing with them. But I think that that's probably perfect. Now, do I want that banner underneath? And do I want that banner cut out of this colour cardstock? I think what we're going to do, put my lid on the glue, let's just have a look at these dies again. So there are some cute circles, and I'm thinking they might be quite nice dotted around. What do these little flower? They're like flower centres. Or do you want the heart? The heart's quite cute, isn't it? The heart might be a bit big. Let's go for these circles. So there seems to be 2 circle sizes. Let's cut a few of those out. And the banner. We might not end up using them, in which case they'll just go on that tray that I talked about earlier. And the tray just allows me to keep things out that I've die cut that I end up not using, or that kind of thing. So probably this scrap of ribbon, rather than going back into the ribbon bucket, will probably go there, and it'll get used on another project soon, rather than just sort of like lying in the basket and not getting used at all. Right, let's die cut these. I think we need at least 3 circles, so we're going to definitely die cut a few more out. You know what? It might be easy to just do it all at once. Let's put a couple more. Okay. Right, let's see how this is looking. Thinking with that on the top. And then these dotted around as sort of like little accents. A little bit like you would use a gem. In fact, I might even use my Wink of Stella on them and make them sparkly. And then do we like that onto the card base like so. Oh, we've got a cute birthday card. I'm really happy with that. Right, let's stick this down. I want a little bit of foam on that, just a little bit, not much, just to raise it up a little bit, because it's now sitting on, of course, that ribbon, and I absolutely want to make sure that that is going to stick nicely. So we're going to go like so first, and then we're going to put this on the top. Now, I am aware I've got a little inky mark. Can you see the inky mark? Probably not very well. I'm aware it's there, so I am just going to stick that down like so, and then I'm going to find something heavy to just hold it in place for a short while. That's very high-tack glue, so it won't take long at all. We are going to use a bit of Pritt Stick on our sentiment banner and just try and centralize that. Perfecto. And then I think we might have to use a wet glue on that as well. So let's just check that's going. Lovely. And then again, a bit of wet glue. And this time we're going to do it so it's going across, but it's sort of covering up some of that, what I know is a little bit messy. Do I want it slightly to the side, or no? I think like that'll be good. And I'm sort of using that text that's in the background to just have a little sense of whether or not that's straight. And I am just going to sneak a little bit of glue there and a bit of foam, because I'm conscious of the fact that that's going to dangle quite a lot. It is only one die cut thick, and I think that the other side dangling is fine, but I'm going to once again just stick that on so we've got something heavy on it and just keep it flat for a bit longer. Oh, hang on, we want to take these off for a moment. Now, where's my wink of Stella? Here it is. I'm just having a moment. Do I want to add silver, or do I want to add the clear? Now I know that I cut 3 of these circles, yet I only seem to have 2. Where's the other one gone? I've lost it already. I was thinking maybe if I'd got a spare one. Who knows? So I'm just testing this out on here. What happens when we dry this? No, I think that's not the right shade. So that's why we test things. Let's go in with the clear wink of Stella. That'll be absolutely fine, because we know that that's not going to change it too much. And if it does, it sort of becomes a sort of almost a goldy colour, champagne-y colour, rather than anything else. Now, I know some people will put this on once they've put it on the project, and I sometimes do too, but then sometimes I go over the edges and it sort of looks a bit messy. So I thought I'd give a try of colouring them off the project first, and then we'll add them on. So again, we're going to use the glue. Now, I always go for 3 and a 2, or a 2 and a 1 whenever I add embellishments. That's the way I do it. And you know, it is that thing of odd things are more pleasing to us in the way that they look. And that's the theory that I go on. So I place a bigger one and then 2 little ones, and I usually just try to form a triangle of some description rather than putting them in a row. I mean, sometimes I do rows just because I want something to have some kind of order to it, but especially when you're doing sort of something quite inky and artsy like this. And then I try to tap them down without it splurging too much, and that I'm really happy with. Okay, now, do I want to put foam underneath this, or do I want it flat? I think I want it flat because we've got the foam around that central element. I don't want to change that. And I know it's a little bit odd that what I've got there is a bit of a cool colour in with all of these sort of warmer purples, but I think because they're all sort of purpley blue pinky shades, I think it works well. Now I can see here I've got a furry edge, so I just want to tidy that up on my trimmer. I think I am going to have to invest in either a full-size guillotine like this or something, but my trimmer's just not great anymore. And I think again I'm going to go for the tape. I don't often use the tape these days. I tend to use glues more, but I just think this is such a flimsy cardstock. How many times have I said that in this video? I just think it'll be better with the tape to give it that strength. Adhere it. Rather than a glue that might actually buckle the paper. Right. I think I'm happy with that. Yes, I'm happy with all of those. Nice and central. I think that's a fun card. Now, it is, however, a darker cardstock, so at which point I always go and grab another piece of cardstock to go inside it. So this will need trimming down a bit. Again, I can do this by eye. I don't need to be concerned about exact sizes, etc. And that will then go on in the inside. Okay, so this started off as doing that sort of that transfer of the ink and the pattern with the embossing, and I don't think I'm going to film the other cards as part of this video. I think I'll do it in another video because it's probably been long enough. But if I do that, it just means I've got a nice inside. That means I don't need to worry about not being able to write on it. No, I think I'm finished with that. So there will be more videos coming that I've got the use of these, but when, I don't know. I've probably got time. It is quite late. I've got a lot to do tomorrow. No, I've possibly got time to make one more card, so I might film another video now that will come out at some point soon. But I suspect what will happen is I'll only use one of those backgrounds, and the other background will then sit in my little folder that I have to the side of me. So you'll see here, that's one of the backgrounds that I made in the last video. These are those spray backgrounds that I've been working with, and I just basically pop things in this folder, and then when I want to use them, I can just grab them, and it makes life a lot easier to just sit down, especially if you're struggling on what to make. Today I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do that technique, and I wanted to play with ink. I've ended up making a card that was absolutely not part of the agenda, but that's just what happens sometimes, isn't it? So yeah, so I think that's me done for now. I definitely also think I need a drink. My voice is feeling a little dry from having talked now. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do give me a thumbs up. By all means, if you didn't enjoy it, put a thumbs down. Leave me a lovely comment in the thing below. Actually, it doesn't have to be lovely, just don't be nasty, because there's absolutely no need for that. So I'd love to hear from you and what you think. I'm quite pleased with myself. That's another video done for 2023, which is fun. And yeah, that's where we're up to today. Please subscribe. There will be another video, as I say, filmed probably tonight, but I don't know when I'll end up editing these and putting them up. So definitely wise subscribing and pressing the notification bell, because although I've got quite a lot of videos on this channel, I am far from regular in posting. So yeah, probably best to do that. And until next time, I'm going to say bye-bye.